For as long as I could remember, my ranch sat like a forgotten relic on the edge of Willow Creek Estates. The development had sprouted up around it 2 decades ago. A sprawling suburb of manicured lawns, cookie-cutter houses, and that ever-present Homeowners Association, the HOA that ruled with an iron fist over paint, colors, and fence heights. But my land, it was the outlier, a 50-acre holdout from my grandfather's era, complete with weathered barns, grazing cattle, and a dusty dirt road that led nowhere fancy. They ignored us completely. The HOA newsletters arrived in my mailbox like clockwork, full of petty decrees about holiday decorations and pool hours. But no one ever knocked on my door. My ranch wasn't part of their precious covenants. It predated the whole mess. Grandpa had fought tooth and nail to keep it, independent when the developers came sniffing around. "This is ranch land," he'd growl, shotgun in hand for emphasis. "Not some yuppie playground." I inherited it 5 years ago after Dad passed. At 42, I was a city escapee myself, divorced, burned out from corporate life, ready for solitude. I fixed up the old house, raised a few horses, grew hay in the fields. Life was simple, quiet. The neighbors? They drove past without a glance, their SUVs gleaming under streetlights that stopped abruptly at my property line. No invites to block parties. No complaints about my rooster crowing at dawn. I was invisible, and I liked it that way. That changed one scorching July afternoon. I'd hired a geologist on a whim, old family lore whispered, about minerals under the soil. "Just check for water tables," I told him, half joking. But when his drill hit pay dirt, it wasn't water. Black gold bubbled up, thick and promising. Oil. Not a gusher like in the movies, but enough to make my eyes water. Tests confirmed it. A modest reservoir worth millions if tapped right. Word spread like wildfire. First, the oil company reps showed up, suits crisp despite the dust, offering leases and royalties. I signed a deal, cautious but excited. Pumps went in. Discreet at first, a couple of nodding donkeys bobbing in the back field. Trucks rumbled down my road, but the money started flowing. My bank account swelled. I bought a new truck, fixed the roof, even donated to the local shelter. Then the letters started. Polite at first, from the HOA president, a smug retiree named Harold Jenkins. "Dear Mr. Callahan," one read, "we're thrilled about your recent prosperity. As a gesture of community spirit, we'd like to discuss integrating your property into our association for mutual benefit." Mutual benefit? I chuckled and tossed it in the trash. They'd ignored me for years. Now they wanted in, but the pumps kept pumping, and so did the pressure. Whispers at the feed store. "Heard the HOA's eyeing that oil money for neighborhood upgrades." A petition circulated, claiming my operations were unsightly and disruptive. Unsightly? My ranch had looked the same for decades. Disruptive? The only noise was the hum of prosperity they suddenly envied. By fall, the gloves were off. Harold Jenkins himself appeared at my gate, flanked by 2 board members in khakis and polo shirts, looking like they'd wandered off a golf course. "Tom," he said, forcing a smile, "we need to talk. Your activities are affecting property values." I leaned on the fence, arms crossed. "Affecting how, Harold?" "My land's not in your jurisdiction." He waved a sheaf of papers. "Ah, but it borders us." "The noise, the trucks, it's a nuisance. And that oil? It's a community resource now. We've consulted lawyers. Eminent domain, environmental concerns. Join the HOA, pay dues from your royalties, and we'll handle it all. Pave your road, maybe add a park. Everyone wins." I laughed outright. "Community resource? This is my grandfather's land. You ignored it when it was just dirt and cows. Now it's pumping oil and you demand power? No dice." The threats escalated. Cease and desist letters arrived, citing vague bylaws about adjacent impacts. They lobbied the county, pushing for rezoning. Neighbors who'd never spoken to me suddenly picketed my driveway. Signs reading "Fair Share for Willow Creek" and "Oil for All." It was absurd, a suburban mob hungry for my windfall. I lawyered up. My attorney, a sharp woman from the city, dug into records. Turns out the HOA had overstepped years ago, annexing bits of public land illegally. We countersued for harassment and boundary violations. The oil company backed me, their engineers testifying that operations were clean and contained. The showdown came at a town hall meeting. The room buzzed with residents. Harold at the podium droning about unity. When my turn came, I stood tall. For years you ignored my ranch. It wasn't pretty enough for your newsletters. Now it's valuable and you want control? That's not community. That's greed. Murmurs rippled. A few nodded, older folks who remembered the land's history. Harold blustered, but the tide turned. The judge ruled in my favor. No jurisdiction, no claims. The HOA backed off, tails between their legs. Today, the pumps still hum. I've fenced off the fields better, hired security. The money's let me expand. Solar panels now, eco-friendly drilling. And the neighbors? Some wave awkwardly now. Others still ignore me, but that's fine. My ranch stands independent. A reminder that some things aren't for sale. Not to HOAs, not to anyone.